Hey y'all, I'm Allie. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. You guys may or may not remember back in, September or October, we showed you guys how we were converting a small closet. We have an attached garage that has some closets in it, and that room is not heated nor is it cooled. We have a little air conditioner we run occasionally, but not really. But that room stays really cold, and so we decided to convert just a small closet to what we called our root closet. We bulk bought a bunch of potatoes and carrots, onions and garlic, butternut, some different squash, and we wanted to see how long we could get it to last in that closet. Well, the weather is starting to warm up, and so we are at the tail end of being able to use it for the year. So that stuff went in there in late October and early November. It is now the very tail end of May, and the stuff held amazingly well. We did lose a couple carrots. That was just because I didn't pay attention and one had gotten a little funky, and then it spread to the others. So we did end up losing the last maybe 6 carrots, which is not bad considering what we started with. But my potatoes did really, really well. We ended up putting the potatoes into a container and covering them with sawdust. We tried craft paper and we tried just putting them in a dark spot. They started to sprout. And so we did end up putting them in sawdust. We used pine sawdust. We have a wood shop on our property, and we used sawdust that we created. None of the stuff was treated with chemicals. We don't use any ground contact wood that has chemicals on it, so we were safe using that. Well, it's now, like I said, starting to get warm, and I have potatoes left, you guys. They're just, most of them are fine. There's a few sprouts on them, and we have a couple that are starting to get not unedibly soft, just a little bit soft to the touch. So I figured I'd bring you along and show you guys how I am going to turn the last remainder of our, okay, let's say this. I don't like to waste anything. We spend a lot of money on the foods that we buy. We buy organic, we buy good quality foods, and I don't want them to go to waste. So before these start to turn, as the weather warms up, we are going to turn them into something we can freeze. I don't love canning potatoes. I feel like the taste goes a little funky, so we prefer to freeze potatoes. I know a lot of people buy frozen potatoes in the form of hash browns, fries, or cubes. And by all means, if you want to do that, go for it. But if you're not a fan of having to buy stuff and you get a good deal on potatoes, I'm going to show you how we convert those into those products. So step number 1 is going to be washing them. I don't peel my potatoes. I don't mind the skins being on them when we eat them, and so I'm just going to give these a really good wash in cold water. I will use a sponge since they were in sawdust, and then I'm going to set them to the side to dry. Then I'm going to bring you along and show you how we're going to process all these dang potatoes. Okay, as I was processing my potatoes, when I pull each one out to wash it, I look for, let me show you this one. I look for spots that have turned black, or this potato didn't look so bad, but as soon as I pushed my finger into it, it basically sank into it. It is rotten. So those obviously we are gonna throw in the trash, but every single other potato ended up being still 100% perfect. So awesome, right? Good news. Two lost, that's not so bad out of, I don't know, there's probably 25 potatoes. So let's get to drying these off, and I'm gonna show you a few steps to be in the kitchen the least amount of time. So let's go. Okay, we ended up with 32 potatoes. I will say these were organic russet potatoes we bought from Azure Standard, and we did end up having to buy other potatoes because these were on the smaller side. So most of these, like that is a larger one. To me, most of them were like this size. So we did end up having to buy some to do baking potatoes, but these are a little bit on the smaller side. So I'm gonna I have a cookie sheet that I've lined with parchment paper. I'm gonna take like 10 of these. I'm gonna take 11. And I'm just gonna put them on this parchment paper. Let me grab a fork. And I'm just gonna pop a couple fork holes in them just so that the water or steam can escape so they don't pop in my oven. When I do baking potatoes, I don't do this, but I also coat them with oil and I want them to get crispy and delicious. These, I kind of want them to cook like a normal potato, but we're gonna slightly undercook them. So we're just gonna do that. I have my oven preheating at 350 degrees. I'm gonna pop these into my oven. I'm gonna cook them for about 40 to 45 minutes. If you have a full size, like large potato, you definitely will go more like an hour, but I'm just gonna get these going in and then I'll show you the next potatoes. We're doing 3 types today. Since these have to cook in the oven for a while and the other ones we're gonna blanch, I'm gonna get these ones going so they can do their thing while we're working on the other ones. I like to multitask and do a bunch all in one day. And then, you know, there you go. So let's put these in the freezer. Freezer, oven. I'm gonna set a timer for 40 minutes just so that I don't forget, because I will. Okay, I'm gonna get the next 10 or 11 and we're gonna show you guys how we cut these and get them ready for French fries and cubed hash browns. So on my stove, I filled a big pot of water and I'm getting that to boiling because we are gonna be blanching our French fries and our cubes. I wanted to point out that a lot of people order from a very prominent company that we do as well and go pick it up from the truck, and you know which company I'm talking about. And they sell a lot of potato products in big cardboard boxes, and these end up being very similar to those. Those are only potatoes, there's no oil, there's no salt, and that's what we are doing today, is no extra stuff. If you read the description on their website, it does tell you that they are parboiled or blanched, and so don't be shocked, your potatoes aren't raw. But what that mostly does is keep them from browning once you freeze them. So there you guys go. We have this, I'll link this below. We got it from Amazon. It's a potato cutter. So you put your potato in here, and then there's a suction cup, so it's stuck to the counter. And then on this far end, it has little blades, I'm hoping you can see it, that cut it into fries, which then you can turn into cubes. So you basically take your potato that we just washed, you drop it into here, and then it has a handle. They have lower dollar versions of these, and we have one up in the cabinet. I hate the thing. I couldn't get it to cut. This one, you barely even have to push on it, like that was one-handed, and it comes straight out like these are our French fries. So your French fries would be that size. So these ones that I'm gonna do as fries, I'm gonna drop right into, I have bowls of cold water over here that keeps them from turning brown as we're processing them. So this gives you a second chance to look as well. Like this one had a little brown spot. We're just gonna throw that one aside. We don't want anything brown in our French fries. I leave the peel on, like I said. So if you are not a fan of peel on, you can peel them. We have a peeler that we use for apples that does potatoes as well. That's what I would typically use, but they come out whole. How easy is that, right? Potatoes are so much less expensive when you buy them fresh and ready to process. So, how easy, right? So I'm just getting these in the cold water. That just prevents them from getting brown. Okay. I wasn't gonna show you all these, but I'm literally almost done, so how easy. Love this thing. The other one, I felt like I should pull it out. It was mostly plastic. If you're gonna buy one, make sure it's metal. But the other one we had was plastic, and you'd sit here and like, it did not cut it. We had it for a few years. I don't even remember where we got it. It was 20 bucks. It's definitely worth the extra little couple bucks to get one that is metal. So French fries are done, you guys. We're gonna get those going. The blanched water, nope, they're in this cold water for now. Once my water is boiling, we will blanch them, and I'll walk you through that. Now, how in the world do you do the bitty cubes? Let me grab my potatoes. Again, I'm just gonna bring my potatoes over here. These are all washed and ready to go. I guess what I love is I can do all these potatoes, and it really doesn't take me much more than like an hour, and the hash browns are pretty hands off, so, you know, easy. Take your potato, just like you did with your fries. When it comes out this end, I like to reach my hand around it. Be careful, because these blades, although not sharp from this side, are sharp from the other side. So I like to grab it as it comes out. So it looks like a whole potato still, but they're the French fries. And then all I'm gonna do is lay it flat and cut it into cubes. You can do whatever size you want. You can dice them bigger, smaller. We like to add them to soups, so sometimes I do them a little bit bigger, but you get to decide, you guys. And then you have your cubed hash browns. How simple, right? me show you another one. Same deal, just take your knife and run it along there, guys. Think of like, if you're not worried about getting like organic or whatever, and you just want some, you know, to feed your family, you can get russet potatoes, especially like at Thanksgiving time. You can get like 5-pound bags for like $, you know, cheap. These do really well for like breakfast potatoes. They do really well in soups. You can throw some herbs on them and cook them in the oven with olive oil for dinner. And they're parboiled, so they cook pretty fast, just in a pan. Throw some tallow in there or olive oil, whatever you want to do. Anyways, there's your cubes. Simple, right? I'm just saying, I don't know how many pounds we ended up doing in total. I should have weighed my potatoes. But if you miss one like that, just take it out and cut it. I should have measured these, or I guess I could do a price comparison of what I paid for these versus buying pre-done ones, because I don't mind spending a little time in the kitchen once in a while. Today's one of those days that I'm like, okay, I need to check my root closet, make sure nothing's going bad, rotate my stuff in my pantry so that I'm using up things that I have. I need to organize my freezer because our butcher box actually is getting here today, and these are the kind of days where I just turn on some good music and bless you, Sean's at work today. Which just means he's in the other room. He works from home most days, so. But it was just one of those days that it was like, okay, like our Azure order closes in a couple days. And I always think like, I cannot place an Azure order unless I have control over the foods in my home currently. Like, you know, like justify it. So like today I redid our whole spice rack. I cleaned them all out and refilled all the jars, wiped everybody down, got them ready. And then when I placed our Azure order, I knew what spices I needed, or I know what things I need from the pantry, because like I have a habit, and tell me you probably do the same thing. When I go grocery shopping or Azure shopping or, you know, whomever, even butcher box shopping for us, I tend to sometimes go, oh, I need, we'll use this one for example. This was a long time ago when our kids were little. I would often go, oh, I need Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Our kid eats it all the time. I must need some. We ended up with like 25 cans of Campbell's chicken soup because of that mentality. So now I just make sure to try to keep control over what we've got. Like somebody was saying, how do you prevent things from going bad? I don't always, you guys. We're human and it happens. But if you go through, you know, weekly, every other week for your big stuff, even every 3 months for our big storage closet, you'll keep control over what you have and you have less waste that way. Anyway, this is good if you have freezer space. If you don't have freezer space, you can dehydrate potatoes. I tend to not love them that way. I tend to like them frozen better. I feel like I use them if they're in my face, where dehydrated stuff, sometimes I put it in a jar because it looks pretty and then I forget to use it. So that's why we're doing it this way today. How long did this take? You guys have been with me the whole way to process all of our potatoes. What are we at? I don't know, a couple minutes. It doesn't take long, that's all I mean. Have a good sharp knife and a friend to chat with. And time flies, y'all. Time flies when you're having fun. Here's our last potato. Okay, and what I love about this is I got these potatoes while they were on sale. I used them all winter, and before they went bad, I was able to get them processed and put in my freezer so that I now have like 6 months of potato products, which gets a year out of your potato stuff. You see what I'm saying? Just, it's awesome. It's awesome when you know, have that stuff in your closet, your pantry to use up. I still need to do a video with you guys. Usually on Friday nights, Sean and I will sit down, we look at the chalkboard of what we have in our freezer, including potatoes and vegetables and things like that. We look at what we have in our refrigerator that we need to use up. Like this week we have artichokes, and I'm like, okay, we got to use those up because you don't want to lose an artichoke. They're like $3 a piece, y'all. So we go through what we have. We look in our long-term storage pantry and go, okay, we have an abundance of XYZ, and we plan those into our meals for the next week. The biggest thing is, every morning when you get up or the night before, pull out your meat or do your Monday prep or whatever you need to do to stay on with those meals. Because if you plan it and you go grocery shopping and then you don't make it anyways, there's really no point. Anyways, I'm gonna wait for my water to boil, stop rambling. I have all of my potatoes ready to go. And what I will do, I gotta get my big spoon. I have a big metal spoon up top there. Let me spin you around and I'll show you how we're gonna process these potatoes. But isn't this tool nifty? I mean, like, that was just easy. Now to get it off the counter is a whole other level. There we go. Let me give these a wash and then I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, our water is just about to boil, but I'm being impatient, so it's okay. I got a beach towel. I feel like the easiest way to work these in big batches is to use either big bath towels or beach towels that make sure they're good and clean. And I just lay it on the counter. It's double folded over so it can absorb a lot of the water as I'm taking these out. I get one pot of water going and I keep reusing the water because it's already the temperature instead of having like 4 or 5 pots going. So I don't know what this is for. I feel like it was for Asian cooking, for frying stuff. We've had it forever. I'll see if I can link something like it below, but it's basically just a giant, I mean, it's easy because it picks up a ton and it drains really well. So what I'm gonna do with my fries is exactly that. I'm going to just drop them in our boiling water. I think I can get this whole bowl in here all at once. I wasn't sure if I would have to do batches, but I think I'm good. So like I was saying, we keep the potatoes in water because it keeps them from turning brown. And then we're gonna boil them for the same reason. If you freeze them without being cooked, they turn brown and you don't wanna do that. So this has no salt, it has nothing in it. We're just gonna be boiling these. These ones, because they're pretty small, I'm gonna do about 6 to 8 minutes once it comes to a boil. The tiny little cubes, I'll bring you back and show you those, but those go for about 5 to 6 minutes because they're tiny. The basic thing is you want it to get cooked mostly all the way through without getting mushy. So that's what we're aiming for. So I'm gonna let these just cook. Like I said, there's no oil, there's no salt, there's no nothing. You guys can do whatever you want with these on the flip side when you're ready to use them. So I'll come back and I'll show you how we strain them and use our beach towel. Okay, our potatoes have cooked for 6 or 7 minutes and they're just cooked through. That was the whole point. So all I'm gonna do is take this awesome spoon that we have and drain these as best I can. Whoop! And throw them on the floor too, why not? I like to spread them out on the towel. And get them far enough apart that they kind of like steam and they dry nicely so that when we go to process them to freeze them, a lot of that moisture is gone. But like I said, I only want the 1 pot of water. So I'm trying to leave as much water as I can in the pot so we can process our cubed potatoes in the same water. A nice amount of French fries, y'all. That'll definitely be a few meals for our family. All right, so now you can see, I don't know if you can see, the water in here is starting to turn brown, but the potatoes are not. Perfect. This spoon works even better with these little cubes because you can get just a ton of them in here. Our water is still boiling, so I'm just gonna pop these in here now that the French fries are done. If you see any, like that one has a little brown spot, just go ahead and chuck it. Even the high dollar brands, you get some funky little spots. Let's just be real, right? Okay, and then for the very tail end of it, I pour it over my spoon and I use it as a colander so that we are good. We give this a little stir, and then as soon as you start to see it boil, and this is another 5 to 6 minutes for this guy. I have a floater. If you get any floaters, make sure you take them out. Okay, those should be boiling pretty quickly. And then I'm gonna show you guys how we process them once these are done. So we'll set a timer for 5 minutes. Okay, I have a cookie sheet here and I ran out of jelly roll pans. Those are what I prefer because they have a lip, but make sure it's something that fits in your freezer. we're just gonna put, sorry, that's right next to the mic. We're just gonna put parchment paper on here, and then you're gonna put your fries as best you can, oops, on the parchment paper, and you're trying to spread them out so they don't stick. You probably can't see anything, so I'm doing this right behind a giant pot. This might take 2 trays for us. If they stick together a little bit, they'll pop apart once they're frozen. So I don't mind going a little against the rules. That's what I do though. So I'm gonna get these going in the freezer so that they can be out to get the other potatoes processing. It's just a, whirlwind of potatoes today. So I'm just gonna pop these in the freezer. If you get these funky little ends that you're like, I don't really need these little, I'm talking about, the skins, you can just take them out. They kind of float to the top anyway, so. All right, so we have our shredded hash brown potatoes are still in the oven. They have like 5 minutes left. I'm gonna get the fries in the freezer so that they can start to freeze. And then, I know, right? My husband's like, you just said freezer in the freeze. Anyways, and then my cubes have a couple minutes left on them. So let me get these in the freezer. The freezer, the freeze. The freezer, the freeze. It is what I said. Okay, my potatoes in the oven are done. These are still boiling, but my potatoes in the oven are done. So what I'm gonna do is use some hot pads to put them on the island where I have my shredder area set up. I've set up a shredder over there for when these get cool. Basically what you're gonna do is take these out of the oven. It's not complicated. She makes it more complicated than it is. But our potatoes are done. They're nice and dried out. We're just gonna set them over here so they start cooling. In the meantime, these are still cooking. We have some stuff in the freezer, and now these ones. I like to multitask, mostly because it makes me feel like I'm losing my mind only a little bit, but I still have control. Anyways, these will be done in about 1 minute, and we'll be on our way to potato heaven, y'all. Potato heaven. Okay, our little cubes are done. They're just cooked enough that they're not gonna brown when we freeze them, but not so much that when you put them into a recipe, they're gonna fall apart. So I'm just gonna strain these just like I did before. Spread them across your towel as best you can so they dry out. The heat from them helps them dry out a little bit, so make sure they're just spread out nicely. All I'm gonna do now is let these cool just slightly, and then we're gonna do the same thing as we did with our fries. You're gonna line a baking sheet with parchment paper, and then you're going to put these on there and pop them into your freezer. So I'm gonna try to enter some video footage of some of the work that we did, but y'all, my phone apparently decided to die in the middle of me recording, and there's no way for it to tell me that it did that. And then right before it died, my video footage and my mouth didn't line up. So it was like a really bad subtitle incident. So it's been a few hours. I went to go look at my videos to see like where I ended up. And I was like, something's not right here, y'all. Anyways, where we ended, these were in boiling water. My shredded hash browns were whole potatoes that had just come out of the oven. And I think these had just gone in the freezer. So I'll give you kind of a play-by-play of what happened. My cubed potatoes, I cooked for 5 to 6 minutes, and then I took them out of the water and I put them onto the beach towel and let them dry or chill for just a second. And then I put them on a lined parchment paper and I popped them into my freezer along with the French fries. Then I got out my rotary cheese grater. I will link the one below that we have. And it's got a big enough chute that it can fit your full baked potatoes. And so I took my baked potatoes, skin on and everything, and you can do this with a box grater if you prefer. I like my rotary cheese grater because and I have a tendency to always cut my knuckles on a box grater. But all I did was grate them one at a time, and then I spread them onto my tray so that it looked like this. Then I went ahead and popped it in the freezer, and now everybody is frozen. I like it because they're frozen just enough where they kind of stick together, but they're not so frozen. What is she talking about? I didn't squish it together. That's what I'm trying to say. It's nice and loose. So as you pull them out of the bag to use them, they're hash browns, you guys. It's not complicated. So basically, I shredded these just came out of the water. And during the video, I kept calling it blanching. And technically blanching is if you put it in cold water at the end. I don't do that because it's not necessary. Wow. So what was supposed to be an awesome video ended up me being Jackie Chan, looking like my mouth doesn't line up and I'm doing karate in the background. It was awful. So I want to show you guys, now that these are frozen, it's been maybe an hour, hour and a half. Now that they're frozen, what do we do with them? Okay, so you guys, these are the cubes, or the Southern style. These are our shredded, and then we have our French fries. I'm just gonna start with French fries because they're right here. I have this nifty tool Sean got for me many, many moons ago. These move up and down, and you can put a Ziploc in them. So I'll look around. Oh, by the way, I'm not using a mic because half of you guys are saying I sound good. Half of you guys are saying that I sound awful. We spent like $500 on microphones, and I can't get them to sound right. So I'm having a moment today. We really need to invest in a camera that's not my cell phone, but y'all, they're thousands of dollars. So we're not quite there yet. All I'm gonna do, these are like just frozen through. All I'm gonna do is pop them into my Ziploc. How easy, right? So how do we make these fries? Well, there's a couple ways that we cook these when we want them. One is air fry. You can air fry them just till they're nice and crispy on the outside. Usually if I'm gonna air fry them, I spray them down with just a little bit of avocado oil and season them just a little bit. So you don't want bland fries, right? The other thing you can do, and I'm not gonna lie, we do this a lot too, is we fry them. So when I fry a French fry like in oil, I do it at a lower temperature first. And I do it for, gosh, I'll have to look for my directions. It's like 8 minutes. And that cooks them all the way through. Then I take them out of the oil. I do it in batches till they're all cooked to the first round. Then I crank my heat way up and I fry them again for like 1 to 2 minutes until the outside is dark and pretty and crusty and delicious and crunchy. That's the word I was looking for, not crusty. But I do that for fries and they're delicious that way. So I will try to remember to do a video, but there's our French fries. So one of ours is done. I'm hoping we can redeem this video, whatever at this point. So these are our cubes. There's two ways you can do it. You can do it on a pan like we did and freeze them. If you don't have the space to put a whole pan in there, you can put them directly into a bag and freeze them. They're gonna clump together. And if you do that, you can break them apart with like a fork or a butter knife or something like that. I find that if I do it this way, they stay looser and easier to manage. And so that's what I do for these cubed ones. Then I use these in soups. If they call for potatoes, we use these for just easy breakfast potatoes like I was saying. Throw some olive oil and some herbs, cook them in the oven, air fry them, whatever you guys want to do. We do a couple soups that we use these in. They're just really, really easy to use. And any recipe that you use potatoes in, you're good to go. So those are 2 of our 3 potatoes. And our final potato product of 2025. I'm just kidding. What I like about these is I can do them in quantities that my freezer can fit as well. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like when I go to do an Azure pickup, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I ever gonna fit all these 4 and 5 pound bags and boxes? Because it's just a lot. But there's our cubed potatoes. They are ready to go in my freezer. And then the last one that we have are our hash browns. So like I was saying, I popped them out of the oven and I waited about 30 minutes for them to cool down. If you shred them too early, they get gummy. So wait for them to cool close to room temperature before you shred them. And then...
Sorry, I'm making noise.
The one time I'm not wearing a mic because I look like a Jackie Chan movie. It wasn't lining up with the video and it was a whole thing. Yeah, I know. It's fine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing it now right now. So I wait for the potatoes to come closer to room temperature. And like I was saying, we use our rotary grater. It's the one that we use in our cheese grating video. It has a handle. You put the potato on the top and you just grate the potatoes. It also takes the peel off when you do that. So these are nice and they're just starting to freeze. And I'm just gonna pop them in. Like they'll freeze like this, but they're easy to break apart into whatever you want. So to cook these, how do we cook these? Well, we do it on a flat top griddle that we have outside. Sean makes an awesome fried potato, fried hash brown out there. Think Waffle House type. The other thing you can do is put a little oil or tallow in your pan. Pop some of these in there and sprinkle it with your favorite like seasoned salt or whatever, however you cook potatoes for breakfast. That's our favorite way to cook these. We do them for mostly breakfast. Sometimes we do breakfast for dinner. But how easy, right? I'm a hash brown fan. I just like potatoes. The other thing I meant to tell you guys is these can all be done with sweet potatoes as well. So if you are a sweet potato fan or have an abundance because you can grow them the size of footballs like we can here in Georgia, you can do any of these recipes with sweet potatoes. You treat them exactly the same as these regular old potatoes. So there you guys go. I just kind of squeeze the air out and then I'll pop this all in my freezer. So there you guys go. There's our hash browns, our, what are these ones called? Southern hash, and our French fries. I did go on and do some price breakdowns for you guys, which I know you guys love. I love these because it makes me like feel like my time is worth something if I can save a bunch of money. So I'm gonna start with the shredded hash browns. Now, I will say Azure does not carry a shredded hash brown like this, like, you know, the kind, you know what I'm talking about. They don't carry them. So I went on to Kroger because it's the closest grocery store to me, and I found the organic because that's what I'm working with. They were $4.99 for a 26-ounce bag. So what I did is I figured out when I bought potatoes, they were $1.03 a pound. So I used that as my price guide to get my numbers that I'm using here. And when I did their prices, broke them down as well. So basically, if I was to make 26 ounces of shredded hash browns, instead of $4.99, ours would cost $1.73. So big old savings there, you guys. The next one, I'm gonna tell you the price, by the way, at the end, if you bought all three of these, what your savings would be, and you're gonna be a little surprised. The next thing we bought are our Southern hash browns. They are cubes. If you buy it from Azure, they come in a now 4-pound plastic bag. They don't come in the boxes anymore. 4-pound bag from Azure is $12.33. Oh, I should have said, if you were to buy the one from Kroger, what I didn't like about it is it has citric acid and dextrose. And if you're diabetic, you avoid dextrose. So it had some additives, but it was the closest thing I could find. Back to these guys. Southern hash browns, Azure standard, $12.33 for their version. Like I said, theirs are parboiled just like ours are. Ours at $1.03 a pound, $4.12, a savings. You ready? $8.21 per container that you purchase. That's massive, you guys. French fries. You ready for this one? And these were actually some of the easiest ones that we made. Now, I will say Azure's are crinkle cut. Ours are just straight. I do have a little tool so I could do crinkle cut if I really wanted to price shop it, but it's fine. So again, they come in a 4-pound bag now. They don't come in the box anymore. It cost me $4.12 to make, or if I had made 4 pounds, would it cost me $4.12. Theirs is $14.73. We had a savings of $10.61 for 4 pounds. Again, that's massive, you guys. So if you needed to buy all of these from Azure Standard or from Kroger, you'd spend $32.05. That's fine. If you need potatoes, spend your $32.05. If you were to purchase the potatoes from Azure Standard and use organic potatoes and process them in the 1 hour like we did, 1+ wait time, we spent $9.97. That's a savings of $22.08. It's kind of wild, right? We do love the one from Azure, but I like the money in my pocket more. Plus, then you can buy more stuff from Azure, so there you guys go. I'm gonna go get these in my freezer, but I just had to bring you guys along and show you how easy it is to process potatoes, especially if you grow your own. We can't grow russets here in Georgia. I'm terrible at it. It's just way too wet. But man, if you want a sweet potato the size of a football, I'm talking like, I can do that. Which is why I don't, because you can't even manage those. Anyways, I'm gonna go put these in the freezer, and I appreciate you guys coming along. If you have any questions about anything that we maybe skipped over because of the whole audio issue, please comment below. I'm happy to answer them for you guys. I will also, if you hit description, I will put my process for each type of potato, the time that we boiled it, all that stuff. I'll put that below for you guys too. So thank you guys.